Okay, this video is going to take us through the charAt method. And so in order to use the charAt method, you want to understand then how Java uses that and what it does. It will use the positions of each character in a string or a string literal. So we have what we call numeric positions of the character of the string characters of a string. So the numeric positions, it's kind of like an index. The first position is named 0, not 1. So it's different than counting. The length is more counting, and when you count, you don't start at 0. You don't go say, well, there's 0, 1, 2. You start at 1. You go 1, 2, 3 when you count. We're not counting. We're talking about a position that a character is within a string, a numeric position. So you start at 0, and what you should do is write those numbers above here. You can skip every other one if you want. If you want to just go 0, then write the 2 above the U and then the 4 above the D. Sometimes that's what I do. And then of course these zeros, this stands for 10, 11, and 12. Alright, so those are numeric positions. A char is a data type of a variable that stores a single character. So it's like you have ints and you have doubles. Well, you also have chars. So the data type position, of course, comes before the variable, and then you can have the name of the variable, and then it's assigned, in this case, B. And notice there's only one single quotes, around that letter instead of having double quotes. So those are two different things. One's a string, this is a char, and so it's just one quotation or a single quote on either side. Alright, so then how does the charAt method work? Well, first of all, to do that, let's make sure that we write our numeric positions up here. So go ahead and write the numeric positions above each of these string literals. And then we're going to use this. Now, so what the charAt does, the method does, is it returns the returns the character. Alright, the length method returned a value like a number, a numeric value. This returns a character, which could be a number, it could be a letter, it could be a space, it could be a punctuation mark. So it returns the character located at a particular position in a string or a numeric position. And we've got our numeric positions written up here. You want to do that because otherwise you have to count every time. And so using the declarations above, we're going to then look at this. Now user, again, we're doing the same thing like we did before, where you're going to write the variable name that has the contents or the string literal in it, dot, and then the charAt method, and then this time it has an argument like the length does not. And so this is going to be returns the character located in the third position of the string that is located in user, which happens to be Trent. And so we already have that number right here. Its third position is the N, so that's the N. You could also have a string literal out here. You get before the dot, and so that charAt, the character at position 0, which is the first position, so it's going to return a capital A. Alright, so you should be able to do C and D. So pause the video, do C and D, and then come back and let's see how you did. Alright, so in C, the charAt, the character at position 1 in user is the R. Then the character at position 7 in the pet is the A. And the character in position 3 for the state is G. So this will concatenate all those and they become rag. Alright, and then we go on to the next one. The user or the character at position 0 of user is capital T. The character at position 5 of pet is actually a space. So we should have a space here after the T. And then the length of the state is now is counting. So that you want to, what you do not want to do is you don't want to go just use this last number, because we're not starting, when you count you start at 1, this starts at 0, and so you need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so that's going to be T space 6. So now what I need you to do is to look at the last question, which is a little bit of a challenge, and so what we want to do is use the length and the charAt methods to figure out how to store the last character of any string variable. And I really should say the last character of any string literal is really what I should say. So let's say you have somebody enter the name of their favorite movie. Well, can you make it so that no matter what the name of the movie is, it'll always give or return the last letter? So we have string fave movie, and this is going to read what they respond, and they'll store it in fave movie. And so I got this started for you. So let's say we want to store this particular letter in the memory location last char of movie name, and so we're going to find the character of the last position of the favorite movie. So the favorite movie could be 5 characters, could be 7 characters, whatever. How do you make it so that it's going to print or store, in this case, the very last letter of the string literal, no matter what the length is? So try that out, and what you can do is you can test it out by opening up lastCharacter.java in day 3 or day 2 of the week 8 module, and you can try to work it out and make it, see if it's going to work. So go ahead and pause the video and then see what happens. Okay, so coming back to what we were working on here in E, before we get to that, I need to bring something up that I thought of. I had forgotten that I needed to share something that's a little bit just kind of a correction here, is that if we look at this code right here, we have the name is the variable and Rosie is the string literal, and we take the name dot charAt3, which is going to be the I, and then charAt0 is going to be the capital R. You would think, okay, it's going to print I and then capital R, but if you'll notice here, it actually prints 187. And so the reason is because each character has a numeric value, and since there are no strings in this argument here, it's going to actually add the two numeric values of these characters. So of the I has a certain value, and the capital R has a certain value according to Java, and so it's just going to add those two numeric values together and get 187. And so what you have to do is you got to go, if you have a string naturally at the very beginning, you're going to be fine, but if you don't have something to type there, you can just type two quotation or double quotes, concatenate And now, since it starts with a string that doesn't really produce anything, but it still has a string there, then it's now going to concatenate the rest of the way. And so then what happens is it prints the I and the capital R like we would think it would. So I had forgotten to bring that up, and so I thought I'd better bring that up now. So in our notes then, what I should have done is put this red in here. That red would really make it, have it be accurate. Now in going back to this, if the last name or the last letter or character of the name of a movie, in order to do this, you got to understand a certain principle. The last letter's position in Trent is 4, but the length of Trent is 5. If you count these up, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In Kitty Cat, the last position is 8, but the length is 9. In Oregon, the last position is 5 and the length is 6. So what is the difference between, or what's the pattern here? And you should see that the length is always one more than the position of the last letter. So it's the length minus 1 gives you the position of the last character. 9 minus 1 is 8, and 8 is the position of the last character of that string literal. And so what happens is, what you would do then, if I can get rid of this and this, then what we want to do is we want to take the variable call, the favemovie.charAt, and then we want to take the length minus 1. So we're going to go favemovie.length. So that will return whatever the length is, and then you subtract 1. And so well, let's just see how this works. And so if we go boom like that, and then we run it, enter the name, and so let's just say we said Avengers, and what we see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the length. And if you subtract 1, then that would be 7. And so if we look at the position, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 is the position of where that S is located. So this would equal 7. So the favemovie.charAt 7 is going to find position 7 in Avengers, which is the last character, and display that letter. And so we should be able to see, whoops, I should not do that. Run. Oh wait, we are running. So hit enter. Alright, there's the S. So let's try it again, and this time we will write the cat in the hat. So it should produce a T, which it does. Alright, so that's how all that works. Alright, we're done.